Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to a almost Wednesday morning. We're 8 minutes before Wednesday morning edition of the Missing Wolves post-game live stream podcast thing. I'm your host, Andrew Dukowitz from Zone Coverage. Cover the Wolves, Lynx, and Gophers. And today we got Wilder Adams joining me on short notice in the middle of the night. How's it going, man?
Man, life's good, man. You know, like who needs caffeine when you have officiating in Portland Trailblazers hoops? So you know what? I'm awake and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, at least they won, right? Like I'm kind of at a loss for words because this kind of had all of the makings of a Wolves, kind of another Wolves disappointing game. Like Jaden plays out of his mind the first and second quarter. The defense completely falls apart in the third quarter, and then it's Rudy and Ant kind of dragging them across the finish line. But I mean, first let's just get into Jaden. I mean, good grief, 29.6 rebounds, 2 assists, goes plus 10 in the game, 12 of 16 shooting, hit 5 of 6 from 3, gets 3 steals and 5 blocks, draws 2 fouls. I mean, Jaden McDaniels' legacy game, is that fair to say?
I'll definitely say that was a big boy win. And this was the type of game where they just needed their tough guys to show up. And Jaden McDaniels, one of the 2 notable tough guys on the team, so he showing up to that extent was massive. Obviously, you look at the stocks, 7 stocks the first half, which is a Wemby stat, frankly. Unbelievable. But his persistence throughout the game, even the fourth quarter when things got physical, I thought Jaden did a good job de-escalating it somehow. But then, of course, the rest were a nonsense all game, so he somehow got a technical for trying to calm it down because I don't know, but Jaden McDaniels was unbelievable and honestly, in a lot of ways, the driving force of the win. So he was great.
It's kind of obnoxious that it has been, I want to say 3 years now since I started really paying attention to post-game stuff, and 2 years since I've been in the room. And the amount of times that Finch after a game says that Jaden McDaniels is like the barometer of the offense. If he gets over 10 shots, the offense is really good. If he gets under 10 shots, the offense usually isn't very good. And I mean, it's just true. When that guy's just getting involved, as John Kay says, Jaden needs to be a little more involved on offense every game. Like when he's just getting opportunities, this offense is just so much better. And he's such a smart player. I mean, what have you, especially tonight, like what did you kind of see from Jaden that was just, I mean, excellent, I guess? I don't know how else to say it. Like offensively, he was excellent.
I mean, he's always been a big-time talent, and it's always been about the involvement offensively, of course. And Jaden, it's kind of maddening because on one hand, it's totally understood that he's going to get the ball when the ball moves, because usually in basketball, if the ball moves, everybody gets a basketball. I've never liked how much he was affected by offensive flow with his touches. I get he's had stars on his team, and he has to kind of take a tertiary at best role offensively, but we saw today it was mucky from the start and he was still getting shots. And how much easier that makes life when you don't have to completely depend on, Julius Randle or your second player and Ant. And, it just makes life easier, not because he's only the barometer of good ball movement, but he's also just a big time talent. So when he's a big time talent doing big time talent things, treated like a big talent offensively from the very beginning, it makes life easier when things get ugly and you have to kind of find some of the leaders of your team to pull you out. Jaden, we saw it tonight on both ends of the floor. He can pull you out and kind of get you across the finish line. So I think it was a representation of what Jaden McDaniels can be on this team. We're in year 6, so we're always talking about what he can be, but this is another example of where things could go if one, he got more shots, and two, the ball gets to him in a variety of ways.
It like, and to go off of your point, like I kind of thought tonight was the perfect example of Chris Finch saying, like, pass the ball to Jaden, for the love of God, just pass it to Jaden. The first quarter, he gets 5 shot attempts, goes 4 for 5. Second quarter, it's almost like he doesn't exist again. I mean, he gets 2 shots in the second quarter, plays 5 minutes, gets 2 shots. Third quarter, he comes out, he gets 5 shots again, goes 5 for 5. Fourth quarter, he's just legitimately ignored until like the last 3 minutes, pretty much. And you can just, like, it's not lost on me that, like, first quarter, beginning of the game, when everyone has the game plan fresh, and like halftime when Finch just got done, I would assume, yelling at these guys, they kind of go back to like, oh yeah, we really do need to get it to Jaden. But then it just kind of, to running with the Wolves point, guys just go back into old habits. I mean,
yeah,
the obnoxious your turn, my turn stuff in the late third quarter and fourth quarter between Randall and Ant. I mean, as running with the Wolves says, seemed like the first half he was getting to his spots, but in clutch time, he was going back to that like dribble twice between the legs, step back, left wing 3, which I'm not disagreeing with you. Like, that is what he did. I think I can pull up fourth quarter shooting for Ant, and like he went 1 of 9 from the fourth quarter, and 2 of those shots were off the dribble 3-pointers from the left corner in clutch time. Like, it is kind of frustrating to see that stuff still, but it was nice that at least they attempted to keep going back to the Jaden well. Again, it's hard to nitpick on them too much because they did get the win. But Wilder, what did you kind of think of their late game offense? Because it did seem clunky, I think would be at best.
I think there's a couple things. It's just what this team is late in games right now. It's very ride and die by how Anthony Edwards individually scores the basketball. And that goes on the team, but that also goes on Anthony Edwards because Ant's such a phenomenal scorer that 80% of the time, a lot of the time, he's able to push things under the rug. But when he's not making shots and he's 1 for 9 and he's dealing with Portland's physicality for 3 quarters, and then he kind of gets tired late in games, he still hasn't figured out just that balance between leveraging his scoring, slowing the game down, and trying to play make. It's a big reason why they've blown some really bad games late in games when he's not playing hero basketball. It's way too Anthony Edwards dependent in terms of playing hero basketball. It's not Anthony Edwards too dependent in terms of usage. It's about what Anthony Edwards does with his usage, and that just needs to be better. Ant needs to be better in that way, and it's a big reason why Jaden's very productive when Anthony Edwards doesn't play basketball games. That's just the hard truth right now. So, yeah.
No, continue. Keep cooking.
Yeah, I was just saying that because it's so dependent on what Anthony Edwards does individually, he still hasn't figured out fully how to make other players better. And that gets in the way of a lot of Jaden's production over the years, especially the last 2 games as he continues to elevate. So until they find ways to keep this offense smooth, involving Ant without needing him to score all the time and just completely take the ball up and score, they're going to have a ceiling on what they can do in the clutch.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like, Ant, it's like the benefit and the curse of Ant, right? Like, the amount of plays that I envision Chris Finch drawing up on the old grease board out of timeouts that are just like erased and thrown to the side because Ant gets the inbound pass and is like, oh man, I can get by this guy, or oh man, I can get to my spot on this guy, and then they don't run any of the play. Like, it has to be in the hundreds at this point over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But then, like, you see the kind of dagger 3 that he hits with a little over a minute left, and it's like, okay, well, that's why Ant can just kind of blow up the play that gets called. But it is one of those things where it's like, I feel like the next iteration of Ant, like 27, 28-year-old Ant 3 or 4 years from now, is going to be the guy that gets the inbound, starts the initial action, whirls around an off-ball screen like Curry does or Harden does, and then gets it off of a pass when he's more open, or he's slinging it to Jaden like LeBron does, and it just works better. I think that's the like frustrating part with Finch at the end of games, is because like Finch will always fall on the sword. Like he will always say like, ah, man, should have got these guys a better look, or Ant took a good shot. Like he got open. But like, I would be willing to promise he's not drawing up a straight ISO for Ant in these situations, which just gets a little obnoxious at times, because it works out tonight, but you know, we've seen it not work out. Running with the Wolves ads, Jaden was awesome, but he needs to stop the self alley-oop thing before it costs him a game. John adds yes or gets injured. I am going to zag on this one. I love the self alley-oop.
I love it.
As a guy that just genuinely enjoys Jaden McDaniels, like as a person and a player, I love it. I absolutely love that he is the only guy in the league that can punch a dunk in when they're up by 5 with no time left and everyone's too afraid of him to say anything. Wilder, where do you land on the alley-oop to himself dunks at the end of these games?
If this was a Wednesday against the Wizards in a 40-point win, I agree with you. What that game was, it was a physical, a dirty game where Sissoko just ran after players because he just got cleanly fouled and just has no balance. In a game like that, where it's that physical, that dirty, frankly, with the officiating, just no control of the game, I'd love a double middle finger in that moment. That was the perfect moment to do it. Like, yeah, F this game, F this team, F everything about this game. I'm going to effing slam this and close it out. It was perfect timing. It's all reading the room, and that was the perfect room to do it. It was a perfect middle finger to the game.
Yeah, I just love Jaden when he lets out like a little bit of his sassiness. Like he gets this rap still to this day of like not having any emotion. But like if you just watch him all game, like he is the biggest troll on the court. Like there is. He trash talks constantly. And then he is one of 5 people in the league that people are afraid to mess with. I mean, even like you said with Sissoko, when he gets slammed to the ground, Jaden's just like gives him a hug and pushes him away. And Sissoko's like, all right, I'll go sit on the bench, I guess. Like,
and Jaden
want any part of that. Cole adding in here, Ant needs to learn to adjust to the defense faster. His decision making is what's going to take him to the next level. Completely agree. Pack mentality. I've always wondered who on the team is first to go off and not do the game plan. I mean, I'm just saying like what I believe, and I would say it is Ant, very long gap, and then like Julius.
Yeah,
but Ant, you know, Finch has talked about it like in practices and stuff of like, you know, Ant is one of the best off the dribble 3-point shooters in the league. Like if he thinks he can make a play off of like an inbound pass or in isolation, like he gets the freedom to do that because like it is an efficient shot. Air quotes, technically an efficient shot because it's Anthony Edwards shooting it. But I think I would be willing to wager a mortgage payment that Ant is probably the guy that is most likely and does most often just kind of, you know, toss the grease board play to the side and do his own thing, which again, he's the 6th best player in the world. Like he kind of gets to do that. But I've always just found it's interesting because after some of these times when it doesn't work out, a lot of the blame goes on Finch. He falls on the sword. Ant goes into the locker room and it's like, I got to be better. And then it's, Finch can't drop end of game plays. And it's kind of like, you know.
If you try to criticize Anthony Edwards on Twitter, you're going to be called some very many things that your mom will try to plug your ears on. So Ant, like we all love Ant. He's very untouchable on Twitter. So I've had a couple moments where I've called out Ant in clutch time, and I got some wildly inappropriate comments toward me that I'm not mentioning on this show. A couple of them probably got banned. I'm not sure. So there's a little bit of the Ant's so likable and he's so favorable that it's hard to hold him accountable when he's as good as he is. But as you mentioned, when you start talking about the next steps of his development, you're just not going to get a championship caliber play until he does the things that Jokic does, until he does the things that Shea does. And it's control the game. Like last year, the next step for him was finding spots he can get to consistently when playing elite defenses This season, he's done that. He's got that mid-range shot. He's got that pull-up three. He can get to the rim. He has those shots now. Now it's kind of channeling it and then trying to balance a playmaking on top of it. That's just the next step.
And I mean, it's also, I also get quite a bit of heat sometimes for being overcritical of Ant. And it's like, he's the face of the franchise. And the things that Ant makes mistakes with are the easiest correctable things.
They're
They're
so
like,
easy.
just like pass the ball, like close out a little harder on defense. Like he does all of the impossible things really, really, really well. But he does the easy things at, I would say, an average level, like defensive attentiveness, off ball attentiveness, closeouts, rebounding is tough for him sometimes. Like, I think what's important to realize with Ant, though, is like he's the sixth best player in the league. And outside of Wemby and Cade, no one's even close to his age in that top, however you want to rate, Jokic, Shea, Luka, Giannis, like those are all guys approaching their 30s or in their 30s. Like Ant, when he is at their age, shouldn't be doing this anymore, which that's kind of more the point, is just it's frustrating because he's young, I guess. Is that kind of where you're at too?
Yeah, you get these prospects at 19 years old, and you have to accept that if things are right, it'll get figured out in 8 years, which is 2 presidential terms sometimes. So that's
Yep.
a long time to determine whether a player's ready or not. The beauty is Anthony Edwards is a generational talent, and he is very much on the right path. And both things can be true. We can call out Anthony Edwards while acknowledging his greatness. He wouldn't be called out if he didn't have standards of greatness. So those things can all be true. And it's a next step in his growth. But, he's earned the right to get that criticism because it's really the next step. He has all the skill and all the game now that he could just channel and mold because he's mastered scoring the basketball, simply put. So now it's just the next little processing steps, which should be the easy part.
Yeah, no notes. It's one of those things where it's like the Wolves probably aren't. They're probably a play-in team if Ant doesn't exist on this roster. Like the reason they could finish as a 3, 4, or 5 seed is because of Anthony Edwards, but he also still has some holes. So it's kind of like, you got to at least acknowledge it. And part of that acknowledgement is because like that dude is going to be like the best player in the NBA in 3 or 4 years. And it doesn't really seem like, I think Cade's getting a lot of love right now, rightfully so. Best team.
He's not Ant.
I think Wemby is getting a lot of love right now. It's second best team in the West, but like they're, like you said, they're not Ant. Like Ant is just he's just different. Running with the Wolves, we lose that game if Rudy was suspended for another one. I mean, Rudy just kind of a master class tonight. 19 rebounds, 10 points, 4 assists, 7 offensive rebounds, 2 blocks. He did have kind of the quintessential Rudy, gets the ball under the rim onto the offensive glass and then throws it up into the bottom of the backboard, and it is what it is. But like this game probably, I don't think they have a chance if Rudy wasn't in this one. Like he makes such a difference. Wilder, what was kind of your thoughts on Rudy tonight?
Yeah, early in the show, I said that this was a game that the tough guys needed to win, and Jaden was that, and Rudy Gobert was also that. I mean, his last 2 games, man, he's averaging 8.5 offensive rebounds a game. If that tells you anything about Rudy Gobert, I thought his control in the paint. I thought the most impressive thing to me that game was just the level-headed nature that he just displayed that fourth quarter, because the game was getting out of whack a little bit. The officials lost control of the game. He dealt with some Jeremy Grant flopping. He dealt with some Donovan Clingan hooks. And all he did was just stay quiet, remain physical, remain steady. He saved multiple possessions. He hit an 11-foot hook. He made good reads. It was just a grown-up, tough guy win. And we've seen this team because, with all due respect to this roster, for the better and worse, it is a vibes-based emotional roster. So if they don't have Rudy Gobert be that steady presence, things are going to unravel. But because Rudy Gobert was at the forefront of just, all right, guys, let's get through the smoke. It's all nonsense right now. Let's keep moving forward. He was just the epitome of that. And it was amazing to see.
I have two stats for you on Rudy Gobert, which Pack Mentality brings up. Rudy also leads the league in screen assists, which is insane because he's missed like 4 games now, and like he only plays 30 minutes a game. Rudy is just. I never really understood him before he got here. Like I'd always see the Utah stuff, and I'd just kind of be like, like they're just being homers. But it's like now that he's been here for 4 years, he's just so good at like everything except for catching the basketball. That'll, I think, be the one like asterisk on his career, but everything else he's so good at. Couple Rudy stats though. I do want to just shout these out. Wolves defensive rating with Rudy Gobert on the floor tonight, 114.7. Solid. That's the top half of the league defensive effort. Wolves defensive rating in the 12 minutes Rudy Gobert did not play, 140. That would be 20 points worse than the worst defense in the league. Like that's tough. The other stat that I particularly enjoyed Rudy Gobert wise, Anthony Edwards defensive rating tonight with Rudy Gobert. They shared the court for 33 minutes. It was 110. So that is Oklahoma City level of defense, 110. We love that. Anthony Edwards defensive rating in the 5 minutes Rudy Gobert did not play with him, 210. That would be historically the worst defense in the history of the NBA.
Wait, can you repeat that?
110.
In this game, right?
In just this game.
Good.
Rudy exists. Ant plays at an OKC level of defense. Rudy doesn't exist. Ant is historically the worst defender in the league. Like it's wild how much of an impact that guy has by just existing. Isn't it just a little mind-blowing?
It's why you can make the case, and I'm not going to make the case, but you can make the case that he's the most valuable player on the Timberwolves. You can make that case. Am I going to say he's more important than Anthony Edwards? Absolutely not. But if you want to look at the stats, when you want to look at the lack of alternatives you have on the defensive end for him, whereas offensively, the Timberwolves can elevate Jaden, they can elevate Nas, right? Rudy Gobert, there's just no replacement for Rudy Gobert for what he does defensively, what he does even offensively, adding possessions, even though he's a slight negative offensively. Second on the team in net rating behind Dante DiVincenzo. Shout out Dante DiVincenzo, by the way. He's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Which pizza man, yes, Dante DiVincenzo did play today.
Oh, he showed up.
He existed today and was
very much
solid. Yeah, I mean, it's just every game. It's always one of my favorite things to do of look at Ant's defense with Rudy on and off the court, and then look at the team's defense with Rudy on and off the court. Because like Ant just, I don't know if it's like the accountability that Rudy holds him to. I don't know if it's they just gel well. I mean, certainly you can be like, oh, well, when Rudy plays, Jaden and all the starters are out there. But it's like the starters only play like 9 to 15 minutes together. Like it's not like they play a ton during the game. It is just wild how much Rudy means to Ant defensively. Pack mentality, to your point, Wilder says 1A and 1B, they can't function without each other. Yeah, I mean, I would say Ant is my 1. And then it's a small drop before Rudy, but then it's like a cataclysmic drop before you get to like the Jaden, Julius, like the next pieces. Wilder, I'm going to throw us over to a break here. Cole wants to know what we think about IO when we come back, though. So we'll get to that after. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read, this time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. All right, Wilder. Let's talk a little bit of Io, because this was one of our few disagreements on a podcast ever over Io. I'm just kind of, tonight I think he looked better. That was kind of Cole's point as well, that it looked better. Still 7 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, no turnovers, missed both of his 3-point attempts. What has your kind of thoughts been on Io since he's gotten to the team? And tonight and the last game were kind of particularly tough for him, I think. But what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I really like Io. And of course, we've only had a few games, so he's still finding his way, especially on the offensive end, like Finch before the game talked about how they're still trying to figure out ways Io can be aggressive. And I still think there's a lot of avenues for that. And I think early on we saw what he could do in transition in the open floor and just add another big body. I mean, today, 7 points, right? But I also think that these are the type of games where he can have 7 points, but he's built for games like this because you're playing against a physical Portland team that is going to really test you, really challenge you. I think early in the year, you felt the size difference against Portland more so than we did today. And I think that presence, Io just being a bigger body individually adds to that. Now, offensively, the last couple of games, the shot hasn't been great, and we've talked about it. You and I both agree he's not 45% three good, but he's a pretty good shooter. So I expect the offense to come around, and I expect him to find ways to be aggressive. I think there's a really, really, really good player there. But I think for the stage he's in with this roster, only I think 6 games in now with the team. So in that case, I feel pretty good about where he's at. And I think throughout the year, we'll start seeing, more games where he starts plugging in. We've gotten flashes. He had 21 a second game, a couple of quiet offensive games. It'll probably be like that for a few weeks, but at this point in time with what we saw today, I feel pretty good.
Yeah, I feel the same. Like, I thought he was fine tonight. His advanced metrics were not super kind to him. Like, he had the worst net rating on the team, like that type of stuff. But also just, it kind of is what it is when you're a bench guy. Like, net rating, I think net rating and defensive rating and that stuff for starters is really valuable, because they are like kind of the standard that sets the team. When you're a bench guy, it can illuminate like in a big sample size, but like in a 20-minute span, it's just tough. I think he's been fine. I think playing with Rudy has been an adjustment. Like, you look at who he played with in Chicago, that was a very like pace and space offense. He had a little bit more room off the catch to just drive, and now you have Rudy in the middle. Like, that's just different. And then the three is, I think the one thing I've noticed, he is a very, I would say, reluctant 3-point shooter. He reminds me a lot of Cat, where like Cat would shoot the 3 if he was open, but if there was any sort of contest on it, he would rotate the ball, which isn't a bad thing, but it's like the difference between like Jaden and Ant and Dante shooting the 3 and Io shooting the 3 is just like, they're not comparable. But I think he's been fine. Like, he's definitely an upgrade over Mike, and like definitely an upgrade over what TJ was giving him. So I think he's a guy that's going to get a ton of minutes and is going to be good. Like, I wish I had more notes other than he's going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, you're even seeing it right now. Like, there's a little note. You're seeing his shot get blocked a little bit more. I think because he's playing with a big under the paint more, so his below the rim finishing, he's still figuring out like, where do I finish? Where do I scoop it up? And that's how he likes to go. But also, I think when you're a new player, it's just hard. When you're a new player, you played on a bad Chicago team for years, and now you're on a team with a clear-cut superstar and an identity. I think it's natural to be reluctant on taking the bold three or, forcing a shot. I mean, Bones Highland, that was who he was as a player. And even we were like, okay, Bones, you can be a little more aggressive. So if Bones Highland had that issue, I think it's very reasonable for Io to figure it out. That's why I don't think the first 10 games in this Io experiment, you can really determine what is his offensive production on this team, because more offense than defense, it's feel it out. You can kind of tell when he's playing with Rudy Gobert, he's kind of like, oh crap, I can be aggressive. And now you're seeing that aggression defensively. So I think defensively, he's probably loving life. And I think the net ratings aren't too fair because he doesn't get to play with Rudy all game, right? I mean, defensive rating, when you're a bench guy, it's just a non-Rudy stat more than you being on the court. So, I mean, I think
it's a lot of Julius Nas, Jaden, Bones. It's just your net rating's not going to be great when it's those guys out there. But
no.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he'll be fine. I do think he's going to figure it out on offense. It's just mid-season trades. I think they just, especially as Wolves fans, we saw that mid-season trade with Mike, and it was like he just came in immediately and figured out his space in the pecking order, and everything got better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nikhil took him until playoffs before he started finally kind of to show it. It's just kind of tough to come in and figure it out immediately unless you're one of the highest emotionally intelligent players in the league. And to Cole's point, remembering that DDV, when he first got here last year, he would kind of hesitate to shoot. I think Julius, when he first got here, kind of hesitated a little bit. It's just, it takes time. I think as long as he's kind of locked in and ready to go by playoffs, they'll be ecstatic. And then this offseason, they'll probably script more for him and he'll be even better. But it is, when you see a trade that even Bill Simmons is sitting there saying is going to be a massive trade for this team, and then he's scoring 7 points, I do feel, fans have a right to be a little annoyed with it. Running ads, he's already giving us more than Monte Morris. Yes, exactly. He is doing more than Monte Morris, which is good. Benny Hughes, appreciate you coming in here, man. How much has he already been used to try to plug the defense on those lineups? Exactly. I think that, well, I'll just kind of pose it to you, Wilder. What's your kind of vibe on the Reed and Randall lineups when Rudy's on the bench? Where have you been sitting on that stuff?
I think early in the year, it's better than October. That's no doubt. It's better than October.
It is better than the worst.
It's forever just going to be, honestly, just you're going to have rebounding limitations and you're going to have rim protection limitations. Neither guy want to rotate and be the back line and stop somebody driving. Neither do. How many times have we seen this year where Randall's standing on the wing, Jaden's standing on the corner, and they're just watching the starting guard just walk to the rim? That's always going to be the case with them. Randall, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. If you're going to expect him to be this Scotty Barnes level effort defender, I have some bad news for you. So it's what it is. I think offensively, it can be fun when everybody's out and running. And I think Io adds value with those two offensively because Randall, you kind of have to incentivize to move fast. And we're already seeing flashes of him getting out in the open court simply by Io being on the court and just saying, run with me. And those guys, since they're so athletic, and Rudy, I think Rudy's an amazing athlete, but it's not fair to ask him to run all games. So those guys getting out in the open court, I think that's a big value Io adds because no one's going to ever replace the lack of rim protection in that lineup. So the upside is that they're running and they're getting out.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of not Finch has kind of hinted at it a little bit more lately of when Rudy's out of the game, we need to make teams pay on offense. They just do. So I think Io is out there to plug some holes, but at the same time, it's hey, you got Bones, Jaden, and Io, run. just sprint at all times. Try and score as much as you can. It's just, the defense is going to be pretty gross at times. Wilder, I haven't had you on in a minute. And with the Lakers losing, as Cole just updated us, the Wolves are technically the 5 seed now, half a game behind the 3 seed, and the Nuggets and the Rockets. I think the Nuggets and the Rockets have the tiebreaker, so I guess they're more like a full game behind. But I guess I'll just ask, like, where do you think the Wolves are going to end up finishing this season at seeding wise with 24 games to go now?
I think when you look at the West right now, there's 3 teams that it's so wide open right now because I think we can all agree the Spurs and the Thunder are just going to stick where they're at.
Yeah.
But then Denver's dealing with injuries. The Rockets are dealing with burner accounts. The Lakers are dealing with.
To your point, it also seems like they don't like each other. Like there's weird vibes in Houston right now, but continue.
Yeah, so they're dealing with burner accounts. The Lakers, they're dealing with, Luka Doncic, I might be able to beat in a sprint right now. So there's just a lot. We can look at this team and be like, they don't know when to lock in, and they're sometimes, they're one-dimensional as playmakers. We don't have a lot of 3D chess playmakers. And this game, I was so prepared to talk about, look at this, 7 turnovers in the first again. They look and they throw. They don't wait. They just look, throw. There's no processing and passing, which is true. And that's a big question with this team. But when I look at the other teams, I'm like, all right, I'll take our issues compared to those guys. So I still think they move up another spot or 2. I think they get to 4 or 3. This team historically ends the year strong. I think they're 2-1 post All-Star break. I think that win percentage could even get higher before it's all said and done. And I'm just looking at what's happening in Houston. We'll see Denver. I kind of trust Jokic to hold on there. So if I guess, I'm going to guess they're the 4 seed. But it's so wide open right now, you can't count anything out. But when you look at the Dillon Brooks injury in Phoenix, when you look at just the Lakers not being a very complete basketball team, and the Rockets just being weird because Kevin Durant's their best player, all of that just kind of equals to me they're going to be 4.
I completely agree. I think it's a 4 or 5 is where they finish. I just brought up Denver's injury because you mentioned it. Jamal Murray questionable with a hamstring, Strother questionable with a toe injury, Gordon out with a hamstring, Pickett out with a knee, Watson out with a hamstring, and something called Tyler Bates, who doesn't have a profile picture, is also out with a foot. So like it is Jokic and friends for that Denver team right now. I don't know how they hold on forever. And then you look at Houston, Thompson, Tate, and Adams is now done for the year. Like that's tough too. Like I don't know how they're going to be able to hold up without Thompson. Tate isn't a huge guy off the bench, but like still provides like depth. And then, like you said, like between burner accounts and the team genuinely looking like they don't like to play basketball together, that's tough. And I remember their matchup earlier in the year, like every fourth quarter, the entire time I was just like, that's a lot of Kevin Durant for like a playoff team. It's just, can they pass both of them? That's the tough ask, right? I will say, Benny brings up who would you want to pick to face in the first round? Like I'll be honest, Houston or LA are probably, if I'm the Wolves, I'll rephrase it this way. The Wolves think they can beat anybody. Like that's not just like coach talk. Like they genuinely think they could walk into Oklahoma City and beat them in 5. Like the confidence vibes for this team is ridiculous. As someone who writes on the team, I would hope that they get matched up against Houston or LA, because I think they could just kind of march them out of the first round in 4 or 5 games and then get an easy one before they have to play San Antonio or OKC. But Wilder, where are you kind of sitting at? What do you think the best matchup for them would be?
First of all, I just have to say something called Tyler Bates and then Jokic and friends. Dude, that's diabolical.
I mean, Tyler Bates, I know a wrestler called Tyler Bates. I'm assuming they're not the same person. So I don't know who he is, but he does exist.
I appreciate you, man. That was a great flash from you, my friend. I love that
Thank you.
because I'm out here on Twitter like attacking families, and I'm not. But yeah. So I respect that. But to answer the question, I still think it's the Lakers. I mean, they're still kind of slow. They're kind of old. They're kind of weak. They're kind of everything that is an athletic limitation. And I think Minnesota, they've run all over them last year. I don't think this is the same Luka Doncic they played in 2024. I just might sound like a hyperbolic take. I'm not sure if we'll ever see that Luka Doncic again in the NBA. I just question his physical evolution the last couple of years. He's kind of given me the Carmelo Anthony might be kind of done by then vibe. I mean, that might be extreme to some people because he was so great, so young, but I'm not very strong in my belief that Luka Doncic is aging very well. So I definitely would target the Lakers. Now, Houston's also good because that's just a flammable experience in Houston right now. So I would love to play them too, but I do think the Lakers are one.
Yeah, it's such a weird Luka season because, like, in one sense, I suppose I could look it up. I'm not going to look it up. Like, Luka is leading the league in scoring, but it's like not nearly his normal efficiency. And his defense has fallen off a cliff again this season, which, I mean, he's playing with AR and the corpse of LeBron James. Like, it's tough to, like, playoff LeBron, I think, will be locked in and playing really well, but like regular season LeBron has not been great this year. So, like, I really don't know what Luka's going to be in the playoffs, to be honest. Like, I don't think that team's going to be very good. The Ayton thing has been a whiff. It's just
shocker.
That's a team that's just kind of, thank goodness for Luka, because I think they'd be like a upper end lottery team if he wasn't there. And then Houston, right? Like, that's, who knows? I will say, if the Nuggets don't get into the playoffs healthy, though, like if Aaron Gordon's out or if Jamal Murray's out, I think that team's very beatable. Like, they signed all these free agents in the offseason. Tim Hardaway Jr., they bring back a gentleman that went to Toronto and then the Pacers, whose name I'm forgetting. Bruce Brown. I think that's who it was.
Shout out to him.
Like, I mean, they are just nothing has really worked out for them other than Jokic is playing at like historically the most efficient basketball ever. I do think this is a Wolves team that if things kind of play out the way they currently are, they're going to be in good shape. It's just also like, how on brand would it be if the Wolves just finished with the 3 seed after everything they did this year to all of their fans? I just kind of feel like that would kind of check out, as the Wolves are the 3 seed. This is their highest seed kind of in this era. And it's despite losing to like Sacramento and Phoenix and back-to-back nights and like dropping one to all of these teams with no stars. This team's so on brand for themselves. Wilder, before we get out of here, though, anything you want to add, anything you want to shout out? I know you have a fun upcoming podcast coming up. Please blast that out. And the floor is yours, sir.
Heck yeah, man. Before we end the show, I'm just going to address, I think, everything that people want to hear. That reffing crew was absolutely disgusting. That was a disgrace to basketball. My girlfriend,
I forgot we didn't even get to that.
My girlfriend saw me say things at that television screen that I wish I had back. And I have a lot of regrets, and I completely blame them, because not only was it just terrible control of the game, terrible officiating is when you have no control of the game. It's less about what team is getting better calls than others. It's when you lose control of the game. And we saw the fizz of both are playing physical, but for some reason, Portland's getting the calls. Jeremy Grant, who I haven't thought about since the Obama administration, he's getting free throws. And then all of a sudden, there's a play where Sissoko just falls because he's clumsy and then runs after a player, and then Jaden gets a tech for it, and then they're trying to make things even. It's just horrible management of the game. The broadcast wasn't that good either. The coverage of the game from on the court and in the broadcast booth was not impressed. Disgusting. And by the way, Matt Caldwell, the CEO of the Timberwolves, will be on Wilder Wolves on Friday. So stay tuned for that because that'll be a fun episode. It'll be great to just have him on the show and learn about what the Timberwolves have to do with the fan experience right now. It'll be great.
Matt Caldwell, have not met him. Everything I hear is a delightful man. So I think that will be a really fun show for you guys to have. I will just add Peacock, the cock, right? I don't know if it was my TV that was the issue or if it was Peacock or everyone's experience, but like the amount of jumping and glitching and like audio going out, and like at one point I just like muted the TV and put music on because like between it just glitching and the audio not working, I was just like, whatever. I guess I'll just listen to music. But yeah, just weird game. I do agree. Like, I don't think the officiating, like if the Wolves would have lost, I don't think I would have been like the officials caused this loss.
Neither would I. No,
I think if someone got hurt, like if Suzuku like got hurt later in the game, or like someone got elbowed in the cheek and like busted their face, like I think that I would have blamed on the officiating, because like it was a game where it just wasn't. Like the physicality wasn't managed very well, which that's always kind of my gripe with stuff, is just like, just make it consistent. Like first quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, like just consistency. Let's just not get anyone injured because you're letting guys play too physical.
Yeah.
And it just kind of seemed like a weird game. Godfrey crying about the refs, just like Nas and Ants. There was some pretty abysmal hand claps and haze in this one, but that's why we watched the game, for hand claps and haze.
You know, man, like it's weird because I feel like this year I've been complaining about the refs less than other years. I don't think it's been as bad as the last 1 or 2 years, but this game was bad. And the Sissoko play was interesting because when you look at the play, it felt like more of a buildup of everything that was building up just from the growing physicality than that actual play. Because when you watch it, it was a normal contest and somebody just like Sissoko went up. There was some physicality, pretty normal. He gets out of position, but his first instinct was somebody did that. And when you watch the play, one, it was just a normal contest. Number two, they claim there was some left hand on the broadcast, another miss by the broadcast. There was no touch on the left hand by Ayodesumu there. And then Sissoko runs after everybody. It was just a weird situation. Glad nobody got hurt on that game on either end. The free throw disparity was bad, but you know what? It's okay. They won the game, and like you said, I would have probably blamed the turnovers and some of the telegraphed passes that gave Portland possessions, a team with way less offense, giving them a chance to win. That would have been the blame if they lost the game. But you know what? That was a game where one of the 5 or so occasions this year where the refs did deserve some, pushback.
At least like a stern shaking of the fist of just, That's the least we can do.
Yeah.
Wilder, thanks for coming on, man. We will be back after, oh gosh, who do they play next? The Clippers. We'll be back after that game. Jace from the Pioneer Press is going to hop on, and the madness will ensue because neither of us are super serious. But looking forward to that. Like I say, we'll be back. I do have a couple Lynx and Gophers things coming up as well, so stay tuned for those. But until then, Wilder, I appreciate you, man.
My friend, I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on.